Welcome to Dead Man Talking. Tonight's show is a long time coming, and a series that I've had my eyes on for quite some time, and from the incredible mind of ForestHasEyes, from over on Reddit, No Sleep. As ever, please do let us know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help build the channel and our community further, and why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid crew. And so, with that aside, let's get into tonight's story, entitled, I'm a security officer hired to protect an estate. The forest has eyes. Part 1. Let's get straight into that. Hi, I'm Nolan, and I've worked in this field for a long time. Well, I guess somewhat literally, but more so metaphorically. I'm sort of a private security free agent. By trade, you see. Or at least, that's the sort of title I've given myself. I'm a taller, more athletic Paul Blunt, with a chip on his shoulder, an actual gun in my holster, and instead of working for an official company, I'm just some guy that gets paid by people to guard their shit. They're more general square mile footage. I'm a city slicker. I like concrete, bright skyscrapers, and several hundreds of people within my general vicinity at all times. I've usually only accepted small jobs, short-time security, but recently, I got an interesting offer. A small-time tycoon, rich guy, looks like he's been washing his hair and liquidated money, offered me a job. Guard my plot of land, the house on said land, my son, me, all of my possessions, and get paid enough money annually to have your 401k before your hair even starts to think about turning grey. Not a bad offer, but said land was deep in southern woods. Now, you're gonna laugh. I've worked in a private security, glorified mercenary, take a gun and guard door bullshit work for a while. I've been online. I've heard enough stories. The woods are a place that you don't fuck with. Miles of dense woods drowning any person in. A place where things have dwelled for a while. Point is, if I ever gonna spend a few tons of millions on a compound, I know it's dead on the state borders. Oh well. Dropping it in Skinwalker City, woods. The air around here is so thick with pine trees, I swear, it smells like someone's trying to blot out their new car smell with a cheap air freshener. Except the smell is more genuine. You know when you feel the scent is so pungent, you can almost cut it with a knife. What if it felt like stepping out of a man's squeaky SUV in front of his estate house, as he called it? You know that one place in Argentina? The one where the weird side of the internet says Hitler hid after he fled on a wild goose chase down the Atlantic? Well, it looks similar to that. Almost identical, actually. Just give it several hundred light fixtures, shiny new windows, and a bit of a trim-up. And boom, the Casamoth Estate House. Not a lot stood out to me. Or the light may be some sort of fear of the dark. Turn on all the lamps in the house. Shit we did as a kid, but on a large scale because it's surrounded by miles of woods. What did seem a bit strange to me, though, were a few things. The place had a perimeter wall. Understandable. A number of threats such as bears, wolves, hell, even the occasional freakazoid in the woods, or the bear could be a cause for alarm. What did seem strange to me was how jagged the pikes were, and the fact that they were wrapped in a whole line of razor wire and barbed wire, with light fixtures pointed outside towards the woods. A lot of money just to buy the metal for, at worst, a bear or a drugged hippie, and a lot of power spent for, what? Floodlights to see anything coming at all angles? I asked Theodore, the boy's father and my employer, and he just says it's for extra security. Fair enough. What was I going to do? Tell him he's being overly careful? I'm the kind of guy who sleeps with 5 knives in his room, and the door locked, and one eye open. Still, it wasn't the security that had me on edge. It was all the claw marks on the outside. Well, that to me were too violent to be from bears. So now that you know the details of my arrival here, Things, they've been weird. I know I said I'm a city slicker. Near what? 3 decades in Chicago, put in the middle of the woods to guard some several hundred square feet in the middle of deep south woods? Well, surely anyone would be unnerved. This place, though, the town just a few miles down the forest road, the walls of hundreds of thousands of pine trees seemingly drowning any and all life in the endless veil of the woods. I'm a man of this craft. Didn't always work in private security. I like the more combative jobs. I like working in this sort of boot and collar work, the warrior mentality. When I've had to deal with a lot of people, hundreds of kinds. Druggies, dumbasses. Do you know who I am's? Creepy motherfuckers, sitting out by the dumpster and with a boombox wearing socks. Just socks. Point is, I've experienced shit. A lot of shit. And so when the sun started to go down, the alarms in my head started to tick on. It's not bullshit. One of my jobs is to check the wall. Not too bad, honestly. Allows me to get out of the house, get some fresh air, scan the stone structure to make Eastern Berlingers, get flashbacks, and see the lights at night. Nothing too shabby. A week in, I actually had to do actual maintenance on the wall as well. Well, it was midday when I looked on the security cameras and saw the eastern side had a spot where some sort of matted fur was caught. Didn't see it the night before, so grabbed some tools and hopped on the ATV over there. When I pried it off, some alarms went off in my head. 1. This shit was a pain in the ass to pry off because it made some body armor look like cardboard. 2. If it was this tough, how the hell did it get punctured by the defensive wire? And 3. If this was animal skin, like I thought, why was the inside as dry and laminated as, say, the underside of a carpet, but still had an organic skin look to it? Theodore said it was nothing, probably just a bear passed by and some shedded fur got caught on the wire. But it's nearing wintertime, when the fur should be growing instead of shedding, and shedded fur doesn't have a layer of skin on the inside. I put it in a crate in a security room for later inspection. Do you know what's truly creepy? Sure, a reptilian humanoid bird guy, and with a Godzilla shriek running at you 1 million miles per hour. That can be scary. Do you know what's creepy? It's not the bullshit scary stories. It's not really, well, the movie monsters. It's the things that are out of place. I'm not an easily spooked man, but it's not the hobgoblin in the woods that freaked me out. It's the little girl out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. I was out on a full property check. I used to do this around once every week, mostly because I was unused to the whole, well, like I said, bumfuck miles of suffocating trees. But as I got more used to it, I started patrolling the land every 2 days. I climb on the ATV, I ride out to the gates and patrol the long, winding dirt path that the property manager agreed with whoever he'd bought it from to be his plot's perimeter. Usually I go shoot off any nicks getting drunk, clear the occasional fallen brush. However, this path runs deep into the woods. Well, I don't know how much Theodore paid for this land, but it runs miles before it loops back around again. If you ever take a walk in the woods, feel the calm silence, so tranquil, so undisturbed. But in my experience, it's like you're sitting in a canoe on a calm ocean bed, while still all it takes for you to capsize in a fairly untamed, unsafe woods is one push. One push and you're drowning in panicking and paranoia. And so when I drove up the ATV path and stopped at what I had calculated was the most northern part of Theodore's plot, I took out my binoculars and gazed around. Calm, tall grass growing and smothering the trunks of trees. And the trees, when they started passing the point of Theodore's land, they started growing more sparser. But it was still 100 per square foot. Really, this was just an excuse for me to stop, calm my nerves at the forest, and relax. What tipped me over was when I heard someone say, "Woof." And I don't mean, it's just a fucking dog twat, you dumbass. I mean, a grown fucking man literally saying, meow, woof, and bark in the middle of the fucking woods. And it was in the goddamn bright evening, and it still freaked me the fuck out. I gazed around. The noise was coming from the direction northwards, away from the property line. Hello? Woof. This shit went from cringing to just goddamn confused. You're on private property. Well, he was off property, technically. But like I was gonna tell this creepy motherfucker that. Show yourself, now! A long pause. Meow. I let out a sigh. Stop fucking around. Show yourself now. What happened next made me immediately reach for the rifle on the back of my ATV. Directly to the right of my ATV, pointing at the point I knew was directly north of the house, poked out a head. And I don't mean like a head, a hairy fucker or some pedophile or some shit. Who else fucks around in the woods like this? Regardless, what poked out was a completely blank head. You ever have those toys as kids? You fill the mold of that guy and pop him out? Imagine that, but on a much better, much more defined scale. A male head stripped of hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, fucking lips. The second it stuck out, it looked at me with what were white eyes and dilated pupils. And without even mouthing his barely open mouth went, coo, coo, coo. It caused me to nearly trip and fall on my ass from the shock. I scrambled to my feet and aimed the rifle over the ATV, using the small vehicle against cover from whatever the fuck this was. Come out, now! Nay. In retrospect, I now can guess he was making a horse's neigh, but I thought he was saying nay in defiance. So I stood up and screamed, Come the fuck out, or I will fire! Yes, I was that trigger-happy security officer that those thrill-seeking teens ran into when they pushed the buttons of a rent-a-cop on duty. You can thank Iraq for that mentality. What I cannot thank Iraq for was preparing me for what the man did next. The guy crab-walked. I mean more shuffled onward sideways. You know in 2D cartoons, how they draw the crabs? Well, he was like that. Legs apart wide, hands up like fucking claws. That god-awful face staring at me. He was also fucking naked. All I could do was let out a, what the fuck? I'm not gonna lie, I was in disbelief. Oink. He then turned 90 degrees north and fucking shuffled a goddamn 50 miles per hour away. After a few meters, he disappeared into the thick brush. What the fuck? I've heard him, but never seen him since, and something told me Theodore. Brushing it off didn't put my mind at ease, either. I started to get over seeing the random lights, the naked man, and the growing claw marks on the wall. Got used to it, I guess. Then, well, I met Tim a few nights ago. And so one night, I was sitting in the security room. Essentially, the outside-facing wall is, well, a wall of monitors. There's nothing much in the room. A table with a computer, mouse and keyboard attached to the screens. The crate where I stuffed the fur, along with any other things the Cryptid Amazon users would buy up for $300, minimum, and the chair. It gets pretty boring, actually. Log walls aren't furnished with a layer of plywood and plaster like the rest of the place, which gives off this piney smell and makes it strangely quiet. What broke the silence a few days ago was when I took a break from scanning empty monitors to listen to browse on my phone. Hey! The voice echoed through the sound of the speakers, caused the jump a bit too, dead of the night, and went right from dead silence. I quickly scanned the monitors, trying to find the source. Hey! Nothing at the backside, nothing in the main yard. Hey! The voice sounded like it was halfway to crackling, and then decided to do what I should have done instead of my frantic screen searching. I checked the sound receivers and saw it was coming from a voice receiver at the front gate. Hey! Hey! My eyes darted to the camera overlooking the front gate to see some kind of white figure, and with a metal pole. It wasn't too good of a look, so I switched it to the front gate cam, and what I saw left me in surprise. Not shocked, just baffled. A science room skeleton. Yes, a a science room skeleton. The metal pole was actually the wheeled rack it was hanging off of. I sat there, surprised. I expected to see a serial killer. Hell, seeing the white figure from a distance made my mind go into emergency mode from reading off too many Native American horror stories. But this... "Hey!" The voice called from the skeleton, or at least I thought it was. It was coming from the receiver, so it could have very well have been just a decoy, and someone underneath it was yelling into it. I clicked on the speaker and called back. "You're on private property." A long silence followed, broke up by a "Hey! Hey! Hey! Hey!" A dead, unmoving stare from the skeleton as it happened. What the fuck is this? "Hey!" Well, someone was trying to draw attention to the front gate. I signed and grabbed my rifle, but considering it would also be a close distance, I grabbed the Beretta from the locker under the table as well. I passed John, Theodore's son, as I passed him by and went for the front door. "John, head upstairs. Lock yourself in your room." He sighed, turning his attention from playing some sort of game on his Xbox. "Why?" "There's some guy at the front gate. Could be a perimeter breach attempt. No other signs of life except the front gate." John paused for a moment as I unlocked the door. His question caused me to pause. "Is it a skeleton?" I stopped, locked eyes with the 16-year-old. A second of silence passed as a "Hey!" escaped through the slight crack of the door. Possibly. That's just Tim. I blinked at the response, shaking my head slightly. Tim? Yeah, skeleton. Appears and just yells at the gate. Well, Dad just tells me to ignore him and turn up the volume. Well, that's highly unsafe. John just simply looked confused, silent. Why? There's a man out there screaming at the gate, causing an obvious distraction. Your Dad just lets it fly. Well, it's not a person. It's a skeleton. Dad says to ignore the things that come around during the night. It's at this point I realize the parlor and all the windows to the ground level rooms that were too big for simple blinds were above eye level. Easier to avoid seeing things at night. Well, I'm going to go talk to... Don't! This made me stop at the door, because, well, the kid said the single word a lot stoner than I had any adult speak to me in the past. What, 8 years? Why, that's how we lost Richie. For reference, they told me Richie was a Rottweiler they had a few years back. It went missing. The father chummed it up to him running off after a bear. Guy was at that gate and Dad sicked him on him. I feel I knew the obvious truth, but I wasn't in the mood to hear the rest. And shaking my head, I headed out. I pressed the remote control for the gate and I clipped on my belt. And had it open, I took a firing position from the porch and watched as the reinforced sheets of steel and mechanics slowly wheeled open. A part of me thanks Theodore for all of the lights. The woods out here are an impermeable wall of pitch black, suffocatingly so. And so bright, it illuminated Tim even brighter than he was. But as soon as I saw him, one of those alarms went off in my head. You see, the gates wheeled open. I remembered something. Tim was positioned just in front of the receiver, although a few meters from it. Point is, he was off to the right of the driveway, and so when the gates opened up down the middle, the pitch-black walls of trees showing themselves, there it was, dead center, in the middle of the gravel path. Hey! Tim cut off mid-sentence, when it opened wide enough for both of us to get a good look at each other. If it was a burglary distraction, it wouldn't have been long enough, and an alarm would have been tripped if a sneak entry was tried. All I saw was me aiming at what was a fucking science class skeleton in the middle of the goddamn woods. Fuck me. I cut the pie at the gates, meaning I first vaulted over the porch edge and checked slowly on the right side to see if someone was hiding. Nothing. I checked the left side, keeping far enough to where they'd have a few meters to run at me. Nothing. I stopped, my rifle barrel lowered, but still shouldered. Now here's the thing. The floodlights are so bright, If someone tried to hide, you'd be able to see them. Problem was, there was no one. And sitting there, staring off to the left side when Tim started up again. Hey! I sighed. What in the ever-loving fuck is going on? Hey! Hey! I walked towards the gate, peeking around the corner of the wall and stared out at him. Tim. At this point, I did scans to the left and the right side. No one. Nothing. Fucking zip. Just me and a goddamn skeleton. The quickly cooling night air allowed me to see my breath. And I quickly gazed around, trying to see where the moon was, near midnight. Knock! I spun around and backed up a few paces. Did the skeleton just call me a knock? I lowered my barrel when I realized I was aiming at a fucking skeleton, but in retrospect, I shouldn't be so careful. I gazed at the thing for a few moments. Gazing at it, I decided to say fuck it, and went up to him. It was indeed a skeleton, a bare one at that. No wires, no cameras, no voice speakers, nothing. I thought it might be built into the stand, but the pipe seemed to be hollow. It didn't sound like it was coming from a metal pipe. And I backed up from Tim, once again asking myself confidently, what the actual fuck? Strangely, I expected this to be the point where something jumped out, scared me and forced a hasty retreat into the compound. Sorry, the state's walls. But nothing. Not a shadow out of the dark wall. Not a pale, white, crab-walking, back-flipping, deformed man. Not a goddamn thing. Hey, knock! Nice scar! I turned my head back to Tim and then backed up a few steps more. I was staring leftwards before he said that. On the right side of my face is a scar. A long gash, although not too noticeable if you're close. You'd have to be close if you didn't know it was already there. And Tim was around the distance you'd need to be. Well, there were no cameras on it. How could anyone see? No speakers, so no way someone could be speaking through it. And yet it just gave me a compliment about a facial mutilation. What the fuck did you just say? I asked, sounding unintentionally offended. It was really more out of stunned confusion. The skeleton did not answer. Whatever was going on, whoever was doing this, I was fucking with me. And so I parted ways with Tim, with a nice crack to the skeleton's jaw, courtesy of my rifle stock, and walked back in, hitting the button as the gate slowly closed. Now, between the sound of the gates closing and the engines forcing them to slide out, I heard one parting message from Tim. Asshole! I went back out the next day. Tim was gone. Still don't believe a skeleton talked to me yesterday. Seemed so fucking stupid in retrospect. And yet, matched the atmosphere in a strange way. Now, it's been a few weeks. That's some of the shit that I've encountered. There's been a lot going on, and I decided to do what everyone encountering paranormal elements with too much excess time has. Document it online. Or, well, blog it, I guess. And post. Getting off track. Point is, I got plenty of things to tell. And so, when I get back to this shitty laptop, you'll be the first to hear. I'm a security guard hired to protect an estate. The forests have eyes. Part 2. Let's get straight into that. It's Nolan, your security guard friend from the woods. A lot happened. It's the reason I'm so busy for what seemed to be the entire damn week. But even today, we're sorting out some things. And so for that reason, I'm going to try and get through this. But it will be in 2 parts. You might ask what happened or why we're busy. But just trust me, when I say by tomorrow, it should be cleared up. And you'll get the full picture of this. So, some notes though. Again, thank you for the feedback. It's been helpful, and it's given some insight to me over the past week. Before I get to hashing out the events, let me take some time real quick to answer back. In regards to using fire, torches, incendiary/dragon breath rounds, after recent events, which you'll find out, is definitely an option I'll explore. Thank you. But some were curious about the crab-walking slender animal man. While, as I said, I haven't seen him since then, which has been a week or so ago, I decided to look up the account that was posted by a search and rescue officer. It's stunning, really. There's not a national park around here for tens of miles, probably more. They seemed to me similar, albeit the figure I saw had somewhat of a face, and said one did not when described. We'll keep this noted. Thank you. Due to the nature of the estate and the contract I've signed, I cannot give out the location of the compound and the surrounding area, even if it's been a fun time with him knowing more than he tells me. But for the sake of clarity, I don't think some vague description of where this is at is all that bad. The heavy woodland area, the compound, and the town are based in the general southeast quarter of Missouri. And that's all that I can tell. Now that's all clear, let's recall, unarguably, the most eventful near week of my life. So, you might remember Tim. Well, so did I. Theodore gave me another of a brushed off excuses. Halloween decoration. Insomnia. He knows more than he's letting on. I mean, he totally fucking does, right? Well then why lie? You want me to protect your house? Then why not tell me what's really out there? Well, not just out there. You see, the morning I woke up, it was around 6, due to how my body's wired, and my schedule. I sleep a healthy 5 hours in the security room, so I can be awoken in case of an alarm. Point is, I wake up, house is dead fucking silent, and I'm going to get myself an energy drink. No, I don't drink coffee. I'll never bother to spend a week wasting batches to find the right blend. I'm rambling again, sorry. Point is, the house is dead quiet, not unreasonable nor unexpected. What was unexpected was the fucking cold. You see, the house has one of those old chimney heater systems, a water boiler, but most of the shit Theodore has installed is mostly state-of-the-art electronic shit. Pretty power costly too, but it allows the place to keep at room temperature 24/7. Which is why I woke up and thought it was fucking odd that it was 51 goddamn degrees. Outage? Well, it shouldn't be. All of the electronics are still working fine. I even checked the security systems to see no dippage happened. Malfunction? Could be, but if the electric goes, apparently the old heater and boiler are set up to take over. Point is, when I headed downstairs, head still waking up even 20 minutes after, I was a little more than cautious when I brought my Beretta with me. Some info about the basement real quick. The main portion is a rectangle room, with a staircase splitting it down the middle. And to the left when you come down, storage to the right, the heaters, boilers, and other machinery. I turned on the lights, came down, and noticed something. It was all off. Everything. Boiler pilot light, furnace, as long cold. And the electric generator connected to the heater was dead still. Not a breeze, not a drop of water. It creeped me the fuck out. It wasn't like it was gonna fix itself. But the second I knelt down and started trying to spark the boiler back on, I felt off. The entire basement went from feeling secure to feeling like I was in enemy territory. I didn't just feel watched, I felt hated. I felt fucking despised. So much so, I even had to look up and back to see if there was some naked fucking crab walking down here. Nothing. The boiler sparked back on, and I pulled the handle up as it started up. One down, and then I sighed. Fucking furnace's wood was... Oh, that's odd. I remember coming down here and checking last night. Put in some fresh logs just in case. Well, they weren't gone. They were charred and completely stamped out. Even if they needed to start on in the 5 or so hours of possible outage, They shouldn't be this dead and cold. And that's when I saw something that made me draw my pistol back against the concrete wall. It happened when my head gazed slightly to the right, and in my peripheral I saw a pair of legs. When I was back to the wall, ready to fight off whatever the fuck, nothing. I know what you're gonna say. It's a ghost, dickhead. Get the fuck out. But keep in mind, I was fucking tired and I remember it being as grey as the concrete walls around. So I had myself the benefit of doubt and tossed in some logs. Besides, if I keep drawing my pistol like Rambo, it's only a matter of time I accidentally shoot Theodore or John. And finally, the goddamn electric generator. It's not like one of the shitty gas-operated ones you get at Kmart, Plus for anyone who still remembers those, for like $12.50. It was at least 5x8. The damn thing had a touchpad, a direct fucking cable underground to the grid, and most importantly, a security lock. Code only I and Theodore knew. So, it couldn't have been John. It couldn't have been some fucker who'd broke in, let alone without tripping any alarms, to just turn off the damn heat and clean water. It felt like I was still being watched. I kept gazing around, and no one was there. Not just paranoia. In the woods, despite some entertaining tenants inhabiting them, I knew when I was alone and when I was being watched. And right now, it felt like a bear wanted to tear out my ass. Regardless, I needed to figure out what happened with the generator. Luckily, the security room had more than just camera angles. The generator being hooked up to the grid and run on the network of the house means it's sort of like your iPhone. Every time the touchpad is accessed to have the code put in, it leaves a file. For example, app, lock screen, info, swipe, time, down to the fucking second. I open the access log for the generator. Now the time is listed as 3:17 a.m. Around an hour and 40 after I got some shut-eye. Someone had accessed the pad and typed in the correct code on a third try. Only Theodore and I knew the code. I knew it wasn't me. I was fast asleep in a locked security room. And Theodore, I don't think, had time to turn off the water and heat utilities of his building for a quick laugh. So, whatever accessed the pad did so after multiple tries. Theodore. Good morning, Dwight. Tim visit you in your dreams? He jested. God, no. Thankfully. Theodore, the heating went off last night. And the boiler, and the furnace. All of it? Was it an outage? No. Everything shows not a damn second went by where the main electric was shut down. Just the side generator downstairs controlling, well, clean water and heat. He pondered for a moment. Should be noted, not a moment goes by where Theodore never looks well. I'm positive. Always got the same sort of smirk Steve Jobs had while ordering Malaysian children to make his iPhones. Maybe it was just a malfunction. Well, it couldn't be. Someone or something accessed the touchpad and deactivated it. I took a few tries too. It wasn't John. He's a good kid. Also, he doesn't know the passcode. And I'm sure he doesn't want to be sleeping in the ice-cold air of the forest. Well, he paused before snapping his fingers. Try the camera on the generator. And I looked confused. The generator has a camera? It's like an iPhone. I told you guys. Every time someone accesses it, it snaps a HD photo. Does this guy just lace everything with cameras? Am I flushing the toilets and having a handle take selfies of my ass every other hour? Still, thankfully convenient. I was going to have a look at it later, but for now, I still had shit to do. First thing, check the perimeter. The wall seemed to be intact, thankfully confirming my suspicions. We weren't besieged by Tim and his skeletal army last night. The gate showed it was closed ever since I had it stay shut, and finally the barbed wire. But, well, that's where it got odd. A portion of the barbed wire was noticeably missing. I knew it was, even though there was razor wire and several feet of barbed wire. It was gone, missing. Moreover, when I went out, rifle in hand to check, 2 of the floodlights were out as well. Oh, this is bad. An alarm should have been tripped when these 2 went off, and if something got that close and ripped off the fucking wire. I rushed back to the security room with a reasonable amount of paranoia. Fucking skeleton. God damn it. I knew it was a fucking distraction. I knew it. I slipped right into my chair and checked the footage. Initially, I thought nothing wrong. Like I said, no motion detectors or alarms had went off. Hell, guess I was wrong about Tim. The left side cameras showed nothing wrong during my whole interrogation of the science room prop. But then, at 3:25 a.m., one of the floodlights flickered and went off. Then the adjacent one to its left, and then its right. A 5-foot wide segment of the wall, done, gone. Just like that, all the bullshit tech went out the window, apparently. And I say that because the motion detectors were still on, and they didn't pick up what happened next. From the light still beaming from within the house, you could barely see through the gap in the light. Remember when I said the darkness was, well, drowning, suffocating? I wasn't kidding. No city light, no suburban light. Went from a dimming spot as the light went off to a pitch black strip. Could barely even see the top of the wall above the broken floodlights. And when I did, for context, when a body becomes bloated in water, its skin looks incredibly soaked. Its flesh looks mushy. That's the kind of flesh I saw. A sickly, grey or silver hand, fingernails not black. I recognized the wounds, vessels broken, and the underside of the nails bloody. The thing reached over and plucked the barbed wire off. Literally. Shit plucked off, and before I knew it, the other end of the God knows how long segment of barbed wire simply snapped off. Not a goddamn thing after that. Just blank footage showing the dark area slowly light up as the sun rose. What the fuck? Not only did this shit just bypass all the alarms, it couldn't have just waltzed in here. This happened when I was out cold, asleep. Oh, this was bad. Criminally fucking bad. Absolutely, catastrophically fucked. We need to get the fuck out of here. A malfunction happened. Sometimes due to all the power, some of the bulbs aren't prepared and just zap out. Just get some of the extra strength ones and replace the... A fucking hand reached out. Some ghoulish motherfucker just walked right up to your billion-dollar compound and ripped off barbed wire used on military compounds like it was fucking nothing. You're overreacting, Dwight. You're underreacting. It wasn't fear that drove me. I knew we were safe for now. Whatever it was, lied to keep it to nightfall, but we needed to get the fuck out of this place. Dwight. The middle-aged man took off his glasses, brushing back his black but slowly greying hair as he looked at me. What do I pay you for? Ha this fucker. Security, I gruffed. Well, obviously, this is a security situation. I paid you a pretty handsome upfront sum to come out here and protect this place. And you've done your job well so far. But it seems to me like this little malfunction is a security situation. Take care of it. I contemplated calling a cab and flying back to Chicago right there and then. Right then, right fucking there. However, whatever was out there was just prodding defenses, testing morale, trying to see just what the fuck we were made of. What I was made of. A wiser man would have went back to civilization, bought a room at a motel, and called settling out in the woods to be a fucking mistake. While I might not be a wiser man, I'm sure as shit a bold one. Brighter balls were going to be the trick. Fine. Spent the better part of a few hours unscrewing, replacing, and rescrewing the floodlights. All 48 of them. But let's just say I spent a day rewiring the walls and assessing the integrity of the motion trackers. And when night came, I sat in a security room, eyes glued to the monitor, waiting. Just fucking waiting for something to happen. 9 goddamn hours of darkness. 6 goddamn magazines loaded with hollow point rounds for my rifle. Not a single fucking movement from outside for 2 whole nights. Whatever it was, it did its job, and fought in my head the first time. I made a mental note. The second time, it wouldn't be so prudent. Regardless, I couldn't sit in the compound forever. I still had a job to do. The storm was going to be rolling in the next few days. A small one, less regionally and more statewide, but it was still going to be a downpour. And that meant ensuring no one was fucking about on the trail or property space. I've already seen this fucking place in the daytime. It was goddamn weird. Imagine being stuck on a monsoon with the fuckers. It was less being a dick to campus and more doing people a favour. It felt good to be back on the ATV though. Wind in my face, sun in the sky. Whether it was the courage of knowing I had a healthy bit of firepower on my back or just knowing whatever this shit was, it wasn't brave enough to fuck with anyone in the daytime. It felt good to zip down the trail. And to be fair, you patrol enough, you tend to learn some landmarks, even in the forest. Helps to not get lost. A giant oak, a short cliff, a set of trees dominoing onto each other. Large rock pointing upwards. Fox den, Native American, eagles. Wait. I slammed on my fucking brakes just as my ATV came over a small ramp. It flew for a second before slamming onto the ground and braking hard. I looked back and gazed at the spot where I passed him. Tan guy, with sort of a bracelet of what I'm going to guess were talons, and war paint across his eyes. Head was shaved except for a mohawk and eagle feathers. I remember him clear as fucking day. Because my mind got a good sip of him before I realized. The native around this part were moved to Oklahoma a few hundred years ago. When I looked back, nothing. Nothing except for a smoke pillar in the short distance, right behind where the guy should have been. Son of a... I took my rifle out, worked the bolt, and read it around. Not this time. Fuck that. Crept through the grass. And right around a large rock formation was a small smoke pillar. It was to the right of the trail, and while it was not technically on property, it was also ordered by the local government down the road for all campers to get the fuck out the woods before the rain hit. I walked around the bend, keeping a crouched stance, and saw a campsite. Who in the actual fuck is camping out here? And what in the actual fuck would be camping out here? I approached the campsite. Didn't have much. A tent, cooking pot, bag hanging to keep away the bears. Except there were no bears around these parts. I approached the tent and looked inside the flap. A sleeping bag with someone in it. Hey, I gave him my best cop voice. The bag shifted, but no answer. Excuse me. There was some muttering, probably from a male, and the person inside the bag adjusted. I sighed, grabbed the top part of the sleeping bag and pulled it open. The person jolted, and I could see a man, young, tannish, hunter-looking guy, and with a full beard, possibly mid-30s. What? Oh, hey, he said, enthusiastically at the last part. He bolted upright, or more as upright as you can be in a tent, and I kept my gun shouldered, but kept the barrel low. You're on private property, sir. I've been saying that a lot now. No one seems to get the memo. Wait, you're not... People live here? Yes. Oh, thank God! He quickly pulled up his pants and then realized I was talking to a half-naked guy before he started to clean and pack his things at an almost inhuman speed. Been out here for a while. Oh, you should see the place. Beautiful, scenic. He zipped up his bag, and it's then I realized he started to already get his tent packed up. But also dangerous. And I gazed around. Yeah, I'm aware. It's then the man shoved his tent into his bag and started to tie it to the side of his main pack. So, stranger, live near here? Their town, civilization. You got any food? Yeah, just down the road, a few miles. Oh, thank God. Been out here for what felt like months. Yeah, camping will do. Wait, months? Well, probably just weeks. Time passes. Say, you got the date? Out here? I pointed to the ground. Yeah. Noticeably, strangely not southern more. Mixed Bostonian with trucker accent. How? I asked, genuinely intrigued. Like, you know what's out. Haha, yeah. Pretty fucked up, to be honest. Say, you seen two naked guys leapfrogging over each other? My stunned silence was more than enough of an answer for him. Yeah, kinda weird. I know it's summer and it's warm, but really isn't the environment to be going full nudist. Look, you really need to get the fuck out of these woods. Ha ha ha, he laughed. You telling me? Say, can I head back to your house? No, it's private property. Ah, come on, man. Been stuck out here with shit that makes me want to hug a bear at night for the last week or so. I rubbed my temples. Look, just head left back up the trail. When you reach the gravel road, you're near the main road, and turn right to get to town. Well, he let out an inexplicably long sigh. Ah, fine. It's then I realized he had his entire camp already packed up as he headed out. Before he went, I stopped him. Wait. He turned. How did you survive the night in a measly tent? Well, he scratched his head and shrugged. I don't know. Guys out here probably have a bigger target. As he left down the trail, a pit formed in my gut. Bigger target? No time to think. Can't get freaked out. Not now, at least. Not enough time. Nor the place. I drove down the trail further, and sadly Animal Man wasn't there. But something did catch my eye. I hit the brakes on my ATV, coming to a stop on the straightaway. I was going down the left side of the property line. The western side from here, there was a slight cliff line to where you could see over some of the trees. Sadly, I couldn't stop to see the signs. It wasn't the plant life that caught my eye. It wasn't the endless greenery. It was the red and yellow cap dead center of the trail that stopped me. Now, even this deep in the woods, which are apparently taboo to the point of no real campers, you still find trash. Litter. Hell, I found a fucking Mr. Pibb bottle, and they stopped selling the original years ago. But I never once in the 4 or so weeks I've been here seen clothing. Especially mint condition clothing. I mean, this was deep in the woods, and surely whoever dropped it wouldn't have got some dirt on them. But no. I stepped off the ATV, rifle now in its sling, and couldn't take any risks anymore. I picked it up. It was small. I checked the size when I felt some dread wash over me. Kids. Small. The fuck was a kid doing out here? I looked for any sort of name tag next. Hey! Nearly jumped out of my own fucking skin as I drew my pistol and aimed for what was behind me. And then I fucking sighed. Ugh, that fucking skeleton. Wow. Certainly another one. Wow. As I say, I've been waiting quite a few years to get this one started. Such a wonderful storyline with a captivating setting and the odd chuckle along the way. I hope you guys enjoyed that one as much as I. This is a 15-part series, so plenty more to come over the next coming week or so. Of course, a huge thank you to the author, ForestHasEyes, from over on Reddit, No Sleep. Really appreciate you allowing me to narrate this story on the show and finally bring it to all the listeners. And I hope you enjoy this as much as us. Well, guys and girls as ever, you know the drill. Please do let me know what you thought down below in the comments box. Please do like and share. It really does help build the channel and our community further. And why not hashtag TeamFEAR and DMT's Cryptid Crew. If you're an aspiring writer or would just like to have a crack at things like myself, then please do get in touch with me at the contact email, which is as on screen. contactthedeadone@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. I hope everyone's having a great start to the week, whether you're at work or studying, whatever it is that you do. I hope you're enjoying it and you're staying fit and focused. But above all, guys, remember, be safe, not sorry.